Hi, I'm Tony Barry. I'm an actor and an activist, and I'm the compere tonight for life-changing events, the oceans. And who better to represent those in the oceans than someone who spends all the spare time filming and working with sharks and trying to give us an awareness of just what we're doing in the oceans. I'd like you to meet Madison Stewart. Hi, Maddie.
Hello.
Would you like to tell us when you first became interested?
I was a certified diver at 12 years old, but it was at 14 that I was struck with a rather brief realization of what the oceans were turning into, and that's when I became involved in conservation. And I've been diving ever since. I'm now 18. I've logged about 450 dives, and yeah, well, when you get that involved, you start to see both sides of the oceans, the good and the bad.
And I noticed that's you with the sharks behind us there. Yeah. That's incredible what you're doing. And why sharks? Why was it the sharks that drew your attention?
Because people are scared of them. That's definitely it. It's, I just had to be different. And then once you go and find them, it's like, wow, everything was wrong. And thankfully, because of my father, I was raised in the oceans. And before I was old enough to have that instinct to fear them, I got a chance to understand them.
Okay, so your interest came from your dad. What does he do?
He's an underwater photographer. And he got me certified at 12, basically, so he'd have a dive buddy to go chase sharks with. Yeah.
And is it just sharks you're interested in, or the general health of the oceans?
General health of the oceans, definitely. And that's got to do with sharks. It's just an overall part of everything involved, yeah.
And what would you say is the general health of the oceans where you've dived?
I've seen a change in my lifetime, and I believe that is rather severe because my lifetime has been a short one. And with that, you need to educate people and get people to understand how quickly it can happen. And the oceans are in a point of severity at the moment. So.
And that's your passion, just trying to make people aware. Are you working through the schools?
I do a bit. Kids still have that fascination for sharks, whereas adults have the fear. So it's a lot easier, yes. But I try and teach anyone at all. I never wanted to become involved in conservation, but I kind of had to if I wanted to see my sharks again, basically.
Well, how do you think us as humans impact on the health of the oceans?
I think people don't even realize how significantly they impact the oceans. People living in the desert can impact the oceans. Everything you eat, everything you choose to buy from the fish shop, what you wash your house with, it all goes down the drain into the oceans. I mean, just off our coastline, there's another world. And what we do on land greatly impacts it.
But the oceans, by comparison, seem huge. They make up such a large part of this planet. Why should we be looking at the health of the oceans as individuals, but as nations?
When you take the oceans away, you've got Mars. It's really the heartbeat of our planet. And there was once a time where we thought we couldn't do anything to impact it. But that's changed now, and we are impacting it greatly. And I believe it's like my scuba gear. When I'm diving, my life depends on it. And as the human race, our life depends on the oceans. So we have to take care of it, just like I take care of my dive gear.
You've obviously studied this at great depth, and I'm sure this has been bred into you through your dad. What does he think of what you're doing?
He's, we argue a lot about the conservation aspect. He loves to dive and loves sharks, but he won't talk to anyone who's scared of them. He doesn't like ignorant people, and he's in his own little world. So he's very proud of me for what I've done. But there's definitely a difference between us two. But I'm very thankful that he taught me what I need to know.
You were telling me earlier that there's, you've heard some horrific stories about what fishermen are doing with sharks. Just taking the fins and selling the meat off, but it's the fins they're interested in. Is that right?
It's legal fishing that's going on at the moment. That's my real focus. The problem is there is so much done in the dark, and I just want to bring it to the light. People need to know what's going on. They can be watching a documentary on the Great Barrier Reef one day, and the next day they can go and buy shark from the Great Barrier Reef at Woolworths. They really need to connect dots, and it's rather severe what's happening. And if the Australian public knew about it, it would be a different story and they wouldn't be getting away with so much.
Well, how did it become possible for them to have this? Is there a quota on sharks and taking sharks?
There is. They're currently allowed to take 600 tonnes of shark from the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. and World Heritage Area. And that's through a fishery called the East Coast Inshore Fin Fishery. And there are quite a few of them around Australia. And we're only a few steps behind other countries whose shark fisheries have collapsed because of doing so. And I believe nothing like this would happen to any other animal. It's happening to sharks purely because people are scared of them and they don't have that will to fight for them like they would any other animal.
So how do we police those quotas?
So much happens illegally with the legal fishing, and even the legal fishing has no science behind the quotas. And it is amazing how much they're getting away with. But it's only going to be public pressure and growing awareness that changes it.
So what can we as individuals do to actually have an impact on the health of the oceans?
As a conservationist, it's funny, there's very little I can do in the ocean. It all comes from people on land. You can do more than I can now. I'm relying on other people to do things. Write to the government, send letters, don't let things stand, don't listen to what the media tells you about sharks. They kill 5 people on average worldwide a year, and each year humans kill 100 million sharks. Little things like this that people need to know. And be careful what you buy. Don't buy flake because it's shark meat. Just know the seafood that you're going to buy. Know where it comes from, and that's greatly impacting the oceans no matter where you live.
So if you had a chance to tell the people who'll see this what you'd like them to do, how about looking down the throat of the camera and just telling them?
I'd like you to see sharks a bit differently, and just be a bit more aware of how much the oceans impact your life and how much you as an individual can impact the oceans.
Thanks, Matty. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I didn't believe one person could make a difference when I started in conservation. I was 14 years old and I was panicking because I had already seen a loss in my sharks on the Great Barrier Reef. 4 years later, and I've made a difference. So I would applaud anyone to do the same.
Good on you. I wish they would bottle you and make lots of you. But the schools, that's the important thing, I think, is to get this message out to the younger generations, yeah?
Yeah, definitely, because I learnt when I was young. And I would really like kids to, well, everything that's happening now, it's the kids that are going to be around to see the effects in the future. So, yeah.
Thanks very much, Matty.